Folks, welcome back to the finale of Season 2 of The Dish with Chase and Ben. My name is Ben.
I'm Chris.
Oh, that's not your
Angel.
I'm Frank.
Chris.
Hi, Chris. Now, Kith, you love birds.
Chris Angel.
Chadwick, it's our last episode of the season.
It is.
And technically the first of the year because this is January 1st.
True.
We're recording this on December 20th. We're putting in work. We're getting early.
1927.
Of 1927?
Of the year of our Lord, 1927.
Where were you on December 20th of 1927?
I was in the dark dimension.
The dark dimension.
That's where I was.
Tomorrow's Nate Jenke's birthday.
I don't know who that person is.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know that man. I've never heard of his name my entire life.
I've never heard that, madam. Dirichich. I should have grabbed a water before we started. Treating you nice? Treating you well? Today's the last episode of the season. Super sad. Really long season. We started this podcast in 2023. We started it in February, and now it's the first day of 2024, and it's wild. We have 2 seasons out.
I know.
I think this is the 27th or 28th episode that we put out.
That's legit.
That's crazy.
It's loco.
That was really fun.
Was
Let's
good.
keep it going, eh?
Yeah, we should try. Definitely try.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's going to be a good podcast today. I'm looking forward to what movie we're talking about today.
What is that movie that we're talking about, Chadwick?
Came out in the best year ever in 1990. It's Home Alone.
I think 1990 is
Home
definitely a contender in the 1990 versus 1994 best year for movies.
Sure.
Because I've seen a lot of incredible movies that came out in 90, and I think I'm just like biased, but I really like 94 for movies.
I think the 90s in general were just very heavy hitting.
I mean, it was a wild time to be alive, I'd say, as we both were.
It was a great time. It was a great time.
Home Alone came out in 1990. It's a crisp hour and 43 minutes, and right now it's only streaming on Stars.
That's not true. It's also on Disney Plus.
Why does IMDb not show? Oh, Nana's losing it right now.
She's having a little tantrum in bed.
She kind of moved around. Why does it like IMDb never says if something's on Disney Plus? It's so weird.
I don't know, but that's what I watched it on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus and Stars.
I think all the Home Alone movies are on Disney Plus right now, actually.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All 6 of them. I just found out today that there's 6 Home Alone movies.
Face, yeah.
Which is just silly.
Third one's a hidden gem. Check it out if you've not seen it. It's good. It's really good. It's very
Number
good.
2 was always my favorite.
2 is great with the McAllisters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3 is good.
3 is good as like a standalone movie. I like the bad guys a lot in 3.
Yeah, they're sweet.
That team.
And the main bad guy is a pretty popular actor. I don't remember what he is in exactly, but he's literally always the bad guy in everything that he's in. He's very good at playing the bad guy.
I would feel bad if I was always typecasted as the bad guy. I'd be
I
like,
wouldn't.
I'm like a good guy sometimes.
I think it'd be
too.
sweet.
It would be fun. You'd always have really cool roles.
I tend to empathize with the villain. So
You do. A lot of the villains sometimes kind of have a good idea, but then
their
just generally
diagnosis
do
is
things.
correct. Their treatment plan is incorrect.
Amen.
That's typically how it is.
Featuring Thanos, featuring
Ultron.
Ultron, featuring Scar, featuring...
Scar. Oh, poor Scar. I do feel bad for Scar. My brother and I, we had these like life-size, or not life-size. They were really big. They were probably 3 feet long, and they were stuffed animals, and Anthony had Mufasa, and I had Scar.
That explains
I love Scar
so much.
He's way cooler looking.
Yeah,
for
he
sure
is.
he is. I also
He's also
like
sassy.
Jafar. You know Jafar in Aladdin, dude.
Yeah.
He's a badass, dude.
Prince
Staff
Abu
turns into a cobra. He's sweet,
I
dude.
had that
Yeah.
staff when I was a kid.
I had a really sick ass toy that was like the lion cave that like had.
Oh, we've talked about that before.
I would like that toy again. That'd be a nice toy to have. Yeah.
Well-
I've seen it on eBay a few times. It's hard to find it complete.
Funny enough, I remember when I was a kid, it was either a Hercules dress up set or
That's a good. That was
like
a, good movie.
a Hunchback of Notre Dame dress-up set.
Ooh, yeah.
But I remember the dagger it came with. It was so sick. It had a purple scabbard and it was like yellow.
It had to
gold.
be Hercules. Then.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know because Homeboy
I don't
wasn't there a blonde?
I don't know.
Who's the?
In the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah,
I have no
he's
idea.
blonde,
I don't
got a
remember.
little beard
That movie
right
came
here.
out and I watched it, but it was like a little, I was right on the border of being after my
We
thing.
never owned it, so I could not tell you if I've seen it from start to finish.
Oh, I definitely have.
I don't think I ever.
They had
have.
good McDonald's toys.
Dude, McDonald's toys used to be the OG triple.
The
Did you
gargoyles.
splash
The
me?
gargoyles.
How did I get wet from that?
McDonald's used to have really good toys.
They did. Do they even have toys anymore?
I think so, but I think that they're definitely a different quality of toy. When Space Jam came out, they were selling literally basketballs. Like you could get a basketball.
Which is wild.
Yeah. It was cool. It came in like a bag and it was deflated. It was really nice.
Nana is carpet swimming on your
She's
bed.
being a baby.
She's being really cute.
She's perfect.
That's really
She's
nice.
literally a
We
perfect
should have a
angel.
Nana cam one of these days.
That'd be good. A perennial cam.
Penryn 10. God, now I really want McDonald's. You want to go to McDonald's after this?
No.
I think both of us would probably die if we ate anything from McDonald's.
Nev and I have made these Big Mac
She's
Crunch
losing
Wraps,
it. Yeah.
and they're really good.
I mean, your proper Crunch Wrap was probably one of the best things I've ever eaten.
Yeah, they're delicious. They're so
I'm not
easy.
trying to be like
they're
that.
so easy.
It
though,
really
too.
is. You
Yeah.
just pile a bunch of stuff in there, wrap it
good.
up. You cook. I do my breakfast Crunch Wraps in the air fryer because I'm lazy, but that's why I had that George Foreman grill on my Christmas list.
to make panini.
Nana is losing her mind right
I know.
now.
She's having a
No
rough
one
time.
can hear it. I think maybe you can, but she's just in the bedroom, just rolling around.
She's
having a
being
day.
baby.
She is being baby.
She's perfect perennial.
Back to Home Alone, though. I'd say, huh?
Yeah.
Quick synopsis for anybody who doesn't understand what this movie is about. An 8-year-old troublemaker, mistakenly left home alone, must defend his home against a pair of burglars on Christmas Eve. What exactly is going on here? Oh, you're lighting the candle. Okay. I was very confused at where you were
fragrance.
going. A fragrance. You gonna fart a lot? Oh. Chadwick, what's your relationship to this movie?
This movie, I feel like, again, is very... I feel like I watched all, like, the Christmas movies at my dad's.
Yeah. What happened? Oh, you're very wet. Why is there so much? Did you spill out of your mouth?
I spilled it out of the actual bottle.
Bottle.
Yeah,
You watched it
I
at your
watched it
dad's
at my
house?
dad's multiple times, of course.
Heck yeah.
I've probably seen it every year ever since, basically, too. It's
cool.
a good one. I watch all of those movies, but I watch them year-round, too. Those are good movies.
For sure.
Yeah. But I watched the third one, honestly, the most year-round.
We just watched it recently. I had no
Well,
idea.
the first one is not a Christmas movie.
The first one is
Or the
not-
third one. The third one is not a
I was gonna
Christmas
say,
movie.
what?
I mean, it is, but it's not.
The third one, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like around Christmas time, but yeah, he's just
yeah.
like at home because he's sick.
He has chicken pox. Yeah.
chicken pox.
Che-pox.
Che pox.
But, yeah, it'd be a dad one again.
I feel you.
We watched a lot of TV at my dad's because he just either wasn't around or he just wanted to watch TV. So
Nothing wrong with that.
it was good. Like we had watched. a lot
fun.
of
You
good
were spending
movies.
time with
Yeah,
your
yeah,
dad.
yeah.
That's what
we had a
counts,
lot of
you
good
know?
movies.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I would say that, and I would definitely say it's a pick-me-up movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I like that way.
I feel you.
Yeah.
It ends very nicely and very well.
Yeah. Always.
I probably watched the first Home Alone for the first time as an adult. Like, I did not
doesn't
ever watch
surprise
it
me.
when I was younger. I did see Home Alone 2 Lost in New York when I was younger, and I thought that was the only Home Alone movie there was, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool. I think it's more fun when he's in New York because he's got, like, does he have his dad's credit card or he just has, like, an envelope full of cash?
He has
It's
both.
his credit.
No,
Okay.
he has both. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's not even, I wouldn't even be stressed. I'd be like, all
In
right.
New York City, I would be. Yeah.
I mean, as a
because in the
child,
first
I would
movie,
be.
he's 8 years old. So I would say in the second movie, he's either 9. I think he is 9 because it's the second year after. It's the next year.
That is wild.
I know. I know it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I never really
I like
watched
the
this movie as a
traps
kid.
in the first one better, I think.
There's not really like traps in the second one.
There
There's
is,
like,
but it's when he goes to his aunt and uncle's house that's being renovated, and then he makes traps.
oh, I don't remember that in the slightest.
Yeah.
I guess I need to rewatch it. Eh?
Uncle. Yeah, he goes to their house, and it's like bare. But like
Bare.
it's like a construction zone, basically.
Oh, okay. A little bit easier of a spot to booby trap. It's a little more down.
Yes
to the
and
bone.
no. I mean, he
Yeah.
knows his home. That's
Very
the thing
true.
that's tricky about
Very
that. So it's like,
true.
and his house is freaking sweet.
Dude, it's wild.
It's the biggest house ever.
It's west side of
huge.
Pleasant Ridge big, dude.
My whole family could stay in that house.
Easily.
Yeah, it'd be insane. It's a great house. There is speculation that his dad is like a CEO of like a like pharmaceutical company.
Dude,
that's what I looked into.
Yeah. Flying all those people out to Paris?
Paris? Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Where do they go in the second movie?
They go to Miami.
Because does
it is because
Kevin just gets on the wrong flight.
Yeah, they go to Florida.
Nana's getting weird.
She's a polar bear.
She like looked like she was about to throw up for a second. I was like, please don't.
What's she doing, bud? Carlos is my standby. He's right here next to me.
He's the best.
He's
I love him to death.
My loyal steed. You know.
Couple of fun facts about the movie. Catherine O'Hara revealed in 2014 that Macaulay Culkin still calls her mom, which I think is really cute. To piggyback on that, Macaulay Culkin just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
On,
yeah.
Joe Rogan, I think.
And Catherine O'Hara did a speech there, and they're so cute together.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin's voice is very high-pitched.
It's not an adult voice.
They
commented on that in the podcast, because I don't think I've heard his voice like in a long time as an adult. He has children and stuff. Like, he's a dad.
I think I heard it when he was like really down and out, so he's probably on some drugs, and it sounded different.
I feel like the last time I heard his actual voice, it was in the movie Party Animal.
Gotcha. I've never seen that before. Have you heard Kathy Griffin's voice recently?
I'm not sure who that is.
Kathy Griffin is like a redheaded comedian from like the 90s and early 2000s. She got like canceled and a lot of trouble because she posted a picture holding Donald Trump's bloody head.
Yeah.
Which, like, relax.
She's intense. Yeah.
I mean, she's a comedian.
She's intense, yeah.
She had, I believe, lung cancer or some type of cancer, and her voice... Like, I'm not even kidding. Her voice sounds like this now. And it's crazy. I just listened to a podcast with her on it, and I was having a hard time.
Oh, no.
I was like, this does not sound like you at all. And she's saying that it's getting better with, like, vocal therapy.
Sure, of course.
But something happened throughout the cancer treatment. I can't remember if it was, like, her lungs or throat cancer or something. I think it was lung cancer, and they were, like, removed part of her lung. And she's never smoked a cigarette a day in her life. And it's, like, scary shit like that.
Way to bring that mood down, buddy. Thank you.
Back up on a high note, though. Yeah, Catherine O'Hara made a really cute little speech at Macaulay Culkin's star. Go ahead, bud.
Joe Pesci deliberately avoided Macaulay Culkin on set because he wanted him to think that he was mean, which makes sense. Joe Pesci is a very good actor, so that makes sense. He would do something like that.
I feel like he would also just try to like be nice to Macaulay Culkin, and he's like, I can't do that.
He's Italian,
I have
dude.
to stay away.
He's Italiano.
Italians, from my experience with them,
Watch yourself.
Can be very blunt, but very loving.
They're just loving. It's just very loving.
Ow, dude. Your rock hard muscles hurt my hand when you made that move. What did you work out today at the gym?
My back.
Love back day. Makes me feel real fun.
Yep.
Back day. The only day I've worked out with you. We worked out our backs.
Back day is good.
I'm actually going to switch these up. I'm going to read the last one, and then you read that next one here. John Hughes, the director of The Breakfast Club and other movies, actually wrote the movie. And then Chris Columbus, not to be confused with Christopher Columbus, who discovered America. Chris Columbus, director of the first two Harry Potter films, directed the movie. And then John Williams, composer extraordinaire. Some of his work is Star Wars franchise, Jurassic Park franchise, and the Jaws franchise. He composed the music for the film.
That makes sense.
And it's great music.
Yeah.
Like when they're all popping off, freaking out because they overslept, it's like so good.
You can go and see that type of music in Detroit. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra does their music, and you can watch the movie while they're playing the music. And I've always wanted to do that.
I really want to do that too. I don't know if I would rather do it. The two franchises that I would want to do it is something with Harry Potter, which we actually went to. We went to Meadowbrook Amphitheater, and we saw some selections from the Harry Potter movies, which was really good. Kind of a difficult seating situation because we were sitting on the ground.
It was okay.
I had a hard time. I can't sit on the ground for very long. But I would love to do that like alongside the movie, like specifically like Dumbledore's death. I would lose my mind. Spoiler alert, everybody who hasn't seen Harry Potter.
Yeah, the home one was nice because it's seasonal, so it's like a
that is a
Christmassy
really
thing that
fun
you
thing.
can do.
Did
You know what I'm saying?
Did you do that recently? I can't remember.
I heard about it last year, and I really wanted to go, but I just didn't end up going.
Okay.
And this year, I actually forgot until just now. But
Damn. Well, maybe try to find some tickets. I don't know. You can still go to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They play on the 23rd.
Yeah, like I have time for that.
Oh, yeah, you got plenty of time, dude. It's great.
Let's add that to the roster of places I'm going to have to be going to on
your 5-day Christmas.
Yeah, I'll be in the car the majority of the days.
Hey, you get to see all the people you love.
Yep.
You're blessed enough to have all those people. That's really great.
Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be tricky, but it's going to be worth it. Go ahead.
Well, John Candy is in this movie, briefly.
Yes, he is.
I love him. Rest in power.
King.
43. He died when he was 43.
That's wild sounding.
Yeah. John Hughes, he was kind of stingy in the movie, so he like wanted everybody to read like from the script, no improvising, like no nonsense. Like he was very adamant about his writing. But John Candy was a friend of his, and he was the only person that was really allowed to improvise.
For sure. And I think like when you're John Candy, like
right.
I can trust you to improvise and like get the idea of the movie and accurately depict that.
I don't understand this last one. You can do this one.
Yeah. Like the last one, like the rest of that.
The rest of that.
Yeah. Basically, he was kind of the same thing. Another movie that he wrote, John Hughes, he wrote The Breakfast Club, and he was pretty stingy with everyone kind of like sticking with their lines.
Oh, okay.
But there is one point in the movie where they're all kind of hanging out. I think it's when they get high. And they're all just like ad-libbing like pretty much that entire scene. And they all do a really, really, really great job at that. And they actually, I can't remember, I think they call that group of actors the Rat Pack. Like every John Hughes movie that he wrote, he like cast those people in there. And honestly, there's a lot of directors that'll do that. Like Christopher Nolan always has like his Quentin Tarantino.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, who's my favorite? Wes Anderson just has every fucking famous person in the world.
No, he has typically
he does have his core, but dude, the amount of famous people in his movies is wild.
Yeah, they're heavy hitters.
Who's my favorite director? What's his name? Who directed? David Fincher. David Fincher does it as well. He's got a couple actors that he loves working with. Funny enough, Rooney Mara is one of them, and she plays wildly different people in every single movie of his that she's in. It's so funny. But yeah. Oh, fucking Tim Burton with Johnny Depp.
Sure. They just have their favorites.
What's their bucket? Yeah, and I think that's cool, and I like when they do that because then it just kind of I think it gives a better product in the end where like I know how they're doing this, I know how they're going to go together, everything's going to be great.
I agree. I really, really, really don't like The Breakfast Club, but
that's fine.
Yeah, but other than that, I feel like those actors, I don't like those. I don't like any of those movies that those actors are. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's just a trend.
I think it's just like that type of genre I'm just not into. I don't think they're bad movies.
Like teen movies, you're not a big fan
like
of?
high schooly like thing like that. I'm just not. I feel like I can't relate to it.
Well, I remember I first watched The Breakfast Club like before I was in high school, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, high school is going to be so like dramatic." And
like,
oh my
I'm
god,
be in detention all the time.
And then I was in high school, and I was like, "Oh my god, high school is so dramatic." And now I'm like, oh my god, everyone needs to just calm down and relax. It's going to be fine.
It's the easiest time of your life.
Not necessarily. On paper, it is for sure.
I would say so. Yeah.
Everything's
provided for you, so it's just like one of those things.
I'd say, for me, a lot was provided for me, which was nice. A little bit different now, I'd say. Excuse me. To bust in the movie here, part one, kind of the first chunk of the movie. So you kind of meet the McAllister family. They're all together. It's not only like the immediate family, but it's kind of like their extended family as well. They're all together at the main, like Kevin's parents' house. They're all together and they're flying to Paris. And it's just a fucking just handful of people at that house. It's a gaggle. Night before the trip, basically, like, they're all getting together, they're all having dinner, and you kind of figure out that, like, while Kevin isn't the youngest, he's kind of like the runt, and everyone's kind of shitty to him. Like, unnecessarily, but also he's kind of a shitbag. But he's a kid. Like, you kind of have to, like, cut him a break.
He's just the...
You got to be gentle.
He's like the black sheep.
He definitely is. I can relate. Yeah. But let's not get into it. They all kind of like basically like Kevin gets like sent to his room. Just everything goes bad. And he just kind of like tries to stand up for himself, but ends up like being kind of, again, like shitty to his whole family. And they're all like, man, go to your room. So he has to go to his room and basically like he just kind of.
He goes to the attic.
Excuse me, it's not his room. He goes to the attic because his room, he had to give it up for people to sleep in. He's in the attic with his one kid cousin who, is he pissed the bed a lot? What's he do?
Yeah, when he drinks a lot of pop, he pees the bed, which that actor is actually Macaulay Culkin's real brother.
Yes. Yeah. And you just see him like pouring this giant. It's so funny.
It's funny.
I mean, honestly, it's a great movie. So during the night, there's like a quick little power outage, and it causes all of the clocks to reset. So none of the alarms go off. So the alarms end up like they just don't go off. Everyone kind of wakes up at the very last minute. And they're like, shit. So they all get together. They like rented these two vans to take everybody.
To take the shuttle driver knocks on the door, which makes them wake up.
And that's
which is shitty.
So scary.
That would
suck. Like my anxiety wouldn't let me sleep.
I don't think that they would make the flight nowadays.
No way. Well, this is 1990. They didn't have security.
I think they're laxer too. Like if you were a little late, they'd probably be like, yeah.
Well, especially if they're like, here's a giant group of people.
Yeah.
This one flight, we're missing like 20, 30 people from this flight. Also, if it's the airport shuttle, I feel like they might have been like, hey, we're running a touch late. Like we'll be there as soon as we can.
Yeah.
But it's like a transatlantic flight. Like, jeez, oh, Pete's, dude.
Yeah,
terrifying.
It's wild. Yeah.
Nowadays, you're fucked. Like, there's no way.
No one would help you. Nobody cares to help you.
No way, dude. They'd be like, well, we can get you on another flight in 3 weeks. Good luck replanning all of this. Golly. Couple questions based on part 1 here. Do you think that this is an accurate depiction of, like, a large family dynamic?
I think it's dramatized a little bit, but it's like... Yeah, I would say so. I would say so just because there's so many different types of people in their family. They have like the uncle that's kind of like obnoxious and kind of a cheapskate. Like he's kind of entitled. His kids are really bratty to like the other cousins. I feel like the dynamic between Kevin and his actual siblings, like his brother Buzz, is accurate. It's accurate for the ages that they are.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a scene in the movie that, like, when Kevin is left there and they're talking, they're like, but they're asking Buzz about him, and they're like, you know, aren't you worried about him? Aren't you worried that, like, something could really, you know, crazy could happen? And I remember him saying, like, no, because for 3 reasons, and the first reason is I'm not that lucky. And it's just one of those situations where like it's like you're not old enough to understand like the gravity of like the seriousness of him being alone by himself for days at a time.
He's 8 years old? Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
And most kids aren't as sharp as he is at 8, I would say.
For sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I would say that like it's just silly, but it's like that. It kind of reminds me of that dynamic where it's just kind of like that sibling rivalry in a sense where it's like
great podcast.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, anyways, yeah, they're. I don't know. Yeah, that's all I was saying. But yeah,
I agree with you there. I think. I mean, obviously, it has to be dramatized with this, but like,
of course, yeah.
It again with a lot of these like Christmas movies, it is like very like stereotypical slices of life from.
Right.
The world at that
it's
time.
Relatable.
It absolutely is. And we'll get into it a little bit at the end here, but like I definitely think like even if you weren't like, oh, my family's not like that at all, you can like if you think hard, you're like, you know what, my cousins do kind of act like that, and I do have an uncle like that. And it really just kind of gives you that nostalgic feeling because like right now I don't think my cousins would act like anybody in this movie, but like back in the day, like
for sure.
Definitely would feel
well, you all have those like cousins that you see at parties.
You like
You know what I'm
only
saying?
see them in the most stressful ways,
Yeah.
which is like on the holidays, and it's like, wow, dude, this is crazy. I think it's wild. I also don't have a family that big, and we've never all taken a trip like that because that's insane. But
That's fair. Yeah.
would you say Kevin's parents are bad parents, or they're just kind of like products of like poor timing and bad luck in this situation?
I have the burden of knowledge. They do it 2 times. So I would say they're not great parents. I wouldn't say they're bad necessarily, but they're definitely not attentive parents.
Yeah.
There's like the odds of that happening 2 times, you have to start
2
looking at the
times is
common
a little
denominators. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point.
For sure.
And I even remember in the second one when they're at the police station, like they tell the cop that that's happened to, like the second time it's happened. The cop is like,
we're calling child protection
Like,
services
yeah,
at
like,
this
you know what I'm
point.
saying?
This
Like-
is wild.
and it's like ridiculous to me because like I feel like I feel bad for Kevin because it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
kind of like that kind of confirms that like you're not really that much of a priority to them. You know
It's
what I'm
really
saying? Like
tough.
they don't even remember you, like that they left you until they're on the flight to go to Paris.
Yeah.
Like they don't, and she still doesn't remember. She's like, I feel like his mom's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something, and she's like, did you turn the stove off? And he's like, no, and I did. And then she's like, did you shut the garage? And he's like, that's it. I didn't shut the garage. And it's like, nope, you left a child of yours.
You left
home.
a whole
like, yeah,
human
like
at
you really like, and like they kind of show you in the beginning of the movie the mix up and how that actually happens because there's like a neighborhood kid that looks similar to Kevin that's like in the car.
He's
like,
just always kind of around too.
right. So
yeah.
they count him as Kevin, but I'm like also again it's like one of those situations where it's like you went all the way there without the kid in the car. You went through the airport.
Yeah.
You had boarding passes that you checked, I'm sure. Like there were like
well, that's
a
the
lot
thing too.
of
Yeah,
things
they would
that
have had a boarding pass,
That's
but
what I'm
I think
saying.
that is a scene though. They're just like, here's all the boarding passes. We're all here. Like they don't
Right.
like hand out the boarding passes
right,
and
but
have
the
everybody
people
go
would
through.
look through them. Like they would.
Well, yeah.
Like, so,
at least
like,
nowadays they would. I don't know if it was more lackadaisical back then, but it's
Probably.
definitely like, yeah, like, dude, I just flew recently, and there was like a family. It was like 2 parents and 4 kids, like wee children, but old enough where they had to have boarding passes. They literally like going through security. They had to like triple and quadruple everything. Again, it's security, but I'm almost positive they would check that at the gate too.
Sure.
Because nowadays you scan in each boarding pass when you
Yeah,
go.
they're not just gonna let
and
you
it's
on a
like,
plane.
yeah,
like that would be weird. Yeah,
It's weird that they did it beforehand.
The fact that it took them that long, I just feel like that's weird to me.
yeah. I'm trying to think if I ever flew pre 9/11. I don't think we did.
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah.
I don't think we did. We flew a lot when I was younger, but I think it was all. I think the first time I don't know. Did we go to England before 9/11? That's interesting. I'm going to ask my parents about that.
We went to Disney World a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never went. It's so funny. All of the vacations we did, we really wouldn't ever like vacation in the U.S. We went to England to visit family, and we went to Germany to visit family friends. But then we'd go to like Missouri to visit my great grandma.
Yeah.
But then everything else was just in Michigan, which
fair.
is fine. I don't feel like I like, didn't have any of these experiences or anything.
Sure.
It's funny that you say like, there's the 2 times and everything. I hold parents very accountable and very responsible for things, like my parents included. But I do think there is kind of like a mentality shift. Like, okay, it's me and my kids. Like, I'm very responsible. I'm very good. I'm doing that. But like the second you start getting your brothers and sisters involved, and it's like, okay, we're all looking after these kids. I think they might get a sense of like, oh, I don't have to be like so on top of it. Like I have these other adults helping me out. So maybe there's a little bit of that. But honestly, the fact that you brought up.
So young though, so it's like
He's
for you
so
to not,
young.
like check to make sure he's okay. Or you lost him at the airport or something? Like that's
Yeah.
like pretty intense. You know what I'm saying? So it's a pretty big deal.
I
know.
know. It was one time though.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be picky.
But yeah,
No,
so,
I do agree with you. And it's just the simple fact that it happens twice.
yeah.
Like that's wild.
It's just too crazy.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's like you're going very far. Like especially that second time, if it happened once, you'd think that you would actually like really
like this should
try.
at the very least
Yeah.
be like a family joke. Like, oh, let's make sure we have Kevin.
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's
come
it's
on.
just that's like negligent.
yeah.
So
I
like
agree.
that's it's hard, but I would say that they're not great in the sense of like they're not attentive parents.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever been like left behind or forgotten somewhere?
one time I was left behind or
Tell a
lost.
story.
I was lost.
Ugh.
I was at, I don't think it was Chuck E. Cheese. I think it was at Caesarland.
Oh, I loved Caesarland.
Yeah.
The poor man's
that's
Chuck
an
E. Cheese.
old oldie but a goodie.
Did you ever go to Major Magic's? Okay, go ahead, Caesarland.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I went to Caesarland with my dad and like my step siblings and everybody. I think they were there.
Blast.
And basically what happened was like I went into the ball pit and I was doing my thing, and I was like a kid that like didn't really listen a lot. And I went to the ball pit, looked up, everyone was gone.
Oof.
It took me like forever to find somebody. I freaked out because I was pretty young. I was probably
so
like
scary.
Between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
And then I did get lost a second time actually on Mackinac Island.
Way scarier.
Which was really, it was not scary for me.
Yeah,
actually.
you're having a blast probably.
Yeah, Anthony, my brother and I, we got lost on there and we were riding our bikes around with our family, but they were taking forever. Like it was my dad and like my stepmom and like my step siblings, and they were taking forever, dude. It was like so stupid.
So
it was
funny.
so annoying. Like it was so
I feel like
annoying.
I know exactly how that went.
It was ridiculous. So like, and there was this dude, I still remember this. There was this guy, I was just telling Nev about this too. Like people that are into like cycling, they'll bring their own like really nice bike and they'll take the ferry with their bike and they'll bike the island. Like, and it's really challenging. Like it's really uphill and downhill and all that stuff, right?
I'd like to do that soon.
It's crazy. So there was a dude that was doing that, and he was riding next to us. And he was like a fun guy that was just like, just messing around.
Nice.
And he was going really fast. So Anthony and I were like
of course.
trying to pace him and like trying to be like little boys and like do that.
That's fun.
Well, we paced him like for a long time.
To the other side of the island.
Basically, yeah.
That is terrifying.
So like we were lost for like a couple hours.
Oh my gosh.
To the point where I remember Anthony and I being like, we're like, we'll circle back and we'll like look for them because like they're taking forever. It'll be easy.
Like, oh god, we got to get back there. And
we couldn't find them. So then like what we ended up doing, because we're not like dumb kids, obviously, we're both like, okay, well we're just gonna bike back to the hotel. They're gonna have to go back to the hotel like at some point. We biked back to the hotel and they were there. And my dad was so pissed and was like, I called the island police.
I couldn't
and
even
like blah 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 blah. I don't think he actually did, because they never came. They never ever came. Like so, like to me, I was like, you're just.
He's full of shit. He never called.
He's just a dramatic guy, honestly. But he was scared and like pissed,
Dude.
But it was like one of those situations where Anthony and I remember both were like, I don't like. Why are you so like you're being so?
How young were you?
I was probably 10, 11, something like that. Like enough to know my way around and like to be okay, but not like old enough to understand like that would be terrifying.
Not
as a
old
parent.
enough to know better.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I got you.
But yeah, those are the 2 times off the top of my head I can say that I did. What about you?
Well, I've had some conversations with my parents recently. Like a lot of times when I was younger, I wouldn't really go out with my dad because he was working all the time. It would be a lot of times like we're going to the store with my mom or we're going somewhere with my mom.
Sure.
And my mom still praises us to this day, not to toot my own horn a little bit, but like myself and my sisters, like we were very good kids. Like when we were out and about, like we did a lot of things that a lot of other kids weren't really allowed to do because we were so well behaved. Like we went and saw like not Broadway productions, but we saw like stage shows. Like we drove to Chicago and saw Mamma Mia on the stage. Like we did a lot of stuff like that where like a lot of kids wouldn't necessarily do that because kids are just like rambunctious and annoying, and like we never really were, and like we would be able to just do more stuff. We were like rewarded for that. So like going to the store when I was young, I don't really have any memories of like us being separated from my mom and like the tizzy of like calling over the intercoms or anything like that. I don't think that ever happened. I remember one time there's this kid across the street. He lived like a couple houses down across the street, and he had a really cool backyard. Like it was just like there was like a cool like jungle gym situation back there. It was just really fun. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk over there and hang out with this kid. He was like a little bit younger than me, but I was still like young enough where we could like play together and it was fine. Yeah. And like when I was a kid, I would either go to my buddy Aaron's house or my buddy Cammy's house down the street, and like I was just like missing, and my mom like called Aaron's house, called Cammy's house, like they couldn't find me anywhere. My mom's like losing her mind. So I think she ended up calling the family of the house I was at to like ask them to help look for me.
Sure.
Like in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you talking about? Ben's here. And my mom apparently just started like bawling. And the funniest thing about this story, I think she's like, okay, cool. Tell him he's got 30 more minutes and then he has to come back. She didn't want to like ruin my day of hanging out.
Yeah.
And then I remember Homeboy's mom came out and she's like, hey, did you not tell your parents that you're over here? Because your mom just called me like sobbing, but you have to go home in 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like totally not like bummed at all about it.
Yeah.
Did not understand in the slightest.
Yeah.
And then as shocking as it is, I was like 19. I was 20, 19. I was 19, 20. My first job I ever had when I was 19 or 20, it was when I got back from being on the road and I was a barista at a coffee shop called Pete's Coffee and Tea. It was at Normandy and Woodward. It is now a Starbucks. I would be there and I would like close sometimes. When I would open, I would either take the bus at 4:30 in the morning or my dad would drive me before he would go to work because he worked at Trader Joe's at the time. He would drive me before going to work. So I would get there early and then they would just pick me up in the middle of the day. But for some reason, at least 2 or 3 times when I closed, they would drop me off because I didn't have a car at the time. They would drop me off at work and then fully forget to pick me up. So it's like 9:30 at night and I'm like standing outside of the coffee shop. I'm like, where the fuck are mom and dad? And I would like call them. They like wouldn't answer. I'd text them. I'd start blowing them up. I'm like, hello. And then they'd be like, what's up? And I was like, can you come pick me up from work? And they're like, oh yeah, sorry. We'll be there in a second. It's like, okay, be there in a second. It's 3.5 miles away. So it like really was close. But at the same time, dude, I would sit out there and I'd be like fuming, which is funny because they would forget me and like not be bummed about it at all. I was an adult at the time, but like I was like, can you not fucking forget me at work or buy me a car or something? Like I'm not trying to be a shithead, but like this is ridiculous. Like come on. That happened like enough for me to remember it. Like I have a picture, I've since deleted off my Instagram, but I had a picture of me like the reflection of me in the mirror of the coffee shop. I'm like, forgot at work again. And I like wasn't a key holder, so I couldn't like wait inside. I'm like sitting outside.
I'm
just like,
rain,
cool.
Just shivering.
It was raining one time and I opened one of the umbrellas and I said, I'm sitting under this umbrella. I'm like, hello.
That's funny as hell.
It was bad. But like as a child, I really don't have any recollection of being left.
That's
anywhere.
cool. That's good.
I count myself blessed at that point. Go ahead.
It's very good. Movie keeps going on. It's families in Paris. Mom, obviously, what I was just saying, she realizes that Kevin is not there. She freaks out. Kevin's at home. He wakes up. He comes downstairs from the attic, and he's like, "What's going on?" kind of thing. Kind of realizes that like he's by himself. He's definitely stoked about it because he hates his family at this point. Like they're just annoying to him, and like that's just how it is.
He has the best day.
First day, he does a bunch of kid stuff, and he runs around the house and sleds down the stairs, and like he does all these things that like you would want to do, as jumps on their bed.
Every kid would want to do.
Like just doing all the things that he could do, and a critical part in the beginning of the movie is that like while the family is running around and going crazy, Joe Pesci is dressed like a police officer and like goes into the house to basically scope out the house as a thief. Excuse me. And is trying to figure out when they're leaving and like all this stuff because that neighborhood is a very wealthy neighborhood and there's like 5 families that are going on vacation for Christmas in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So there's 5 vacant houses that they can just kind of go in and take their time and like get what they want and leave.
5 houses that are supposed to be vacant,
right?
Let's say.
And so he's in there and he kind of scopes it out. So basically, like as the families leave, they're still kind of stalking each family in a van, and they're just kind of on the street seeing people leaving and stuff. So they end up seeing the McAllisters leave, assuming that they didn't forget a child, because that's pretty unlikely.
That's a pretty safe assumption.
And they start kind of casing the house. Kevin like kind of starts noticing like that's happening, basically. Like, I mean, he's skeptical. Like he's not sure. Like he, it's kind of like something's not right kind of thing. And, he just kind of is scared. He's a little, he's like 8 years old, right? So like, and the family, like they like know he's missing, so they try to like have the police do like a checkup on him, and like he doesn't answer the door because the cop's knocking on the door, and it scares him. He's got kind of an older neighbor that like lives across the street that's kind of, I wouldn't say he's creepy to me, but like to a child he would be considered creepy.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like a scared little boy at this point, because now that the reality of him being alone in the house, I think, is like starting to sink in.
Yeah.
And of course, he knows how long they're going to be gone because he was supposed to be on that vacation. So, like, he knows that it's not like they're going to be back in an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows that, like, it's going to be probably a week, you know, where they're just, like, gone. You know, so basically, like, as that happens... Oh, God. There's a...
I was like, what's going on here, bud?
And basically, like, he gets super scared. And, like, eventually, like... he ends up like going to a church and like running into his neighbor in the church, and like his neighbor is just a human being, right? So like he has his own problems, he has his own family that just kind of is like estranged, let's say. And they just talk it out in church, like at a pew, because I think Kevin just goes to the church because it's like a safe spot. It just is like a comforting spot for him because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. I mean, he's just like feeling weird, right?
Yeah.
So like he basically talks his neighbor through it and tells him he should contact his son, and like he's like, I don't know. Like it's that classic like stubborn on both sides. Nobody wants to move forward, you know.
That's
kind of
tough.
thing.
Yeah.
It's just a tricky situation. But then basically like, you know, Kevin gets home and is just kind of like, this isn't going to stand. Like, I'm going to defend my house. If I'm going to be here, like, I'm going to, like, put up a fight for sure.
Good kid.
And like I said earlier, like, he knows his house. So, like, he can booby trap this house pretty effectively, like, I would say. Especially because, like, a lot of them are going to be, like, you know, easy things, like, winter-related. I mean, he, like, pours water on each step of his house, like things that will make ice and you know, stuff like that, like where he's just kind of like really kind of putting the effort in, but also like it's pretty like it's not really like I feel like the booby traps that he puts up, other than some particular ones that I'll get into later, but like they seem like a child could do those. They could set up a lot of these things. Like, it's not like it's that much, like, it's not that complicated.
Especially him, though. He's kind of like, conniving is the wrong word, but he's like a little too smart for his own good at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so he's just like, you know, he's resourceful. So I would say that, like, a lot of these things are believable, in my opinion, like, that he could do this. He could definitely, like, I don't know if he would be able to thwart off to adult burglars per se, but I think he could easily make things that would be inconveniences for them for sure, and dangerous at that too, you know. So I mean, slipping on the ice as an adult on the concrete off of stairs is like definitely like something that would possibly permanently injure you,
dude.
You know,
imagine that like tomorrow if you did that.
Yeah, it would be.
We're down for the count, dog.
I did do that like 2 years ago when
I remember that.
And was totally fine.
Fell under. Well, yeah, it was
my
2 years ago.
My back muscles cushioned my blow.
And now what happened?
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, they. So he like sets all this stuff up. And it seems like he really has like the forthright. Like he's really trying to imagine how they would break into this house. Case in point. He's breaking like glass ornaments in front of like the window sills so that they step down. You know, they have that because he also has like traps where that would get rid of their shoes so they would be barefoot. Like he's definitely like
covering bases.
Real deal. Yeah. You know, things that I don't think that you would necessarily think about doing, but it's definitely effective. And you know, the thing is that like, these dudes are kind of relentless. Like they're not, and I think it's in the movie. It's like funny because they're like, okay, everybody's out of the house. Well, then they see Kevin at the store or walking home from the grocery store rather, and they're like, let's see where this kid goes. And then he goes into that house, and then they're like, well, wait, maybe they came back early. Maybe the family is there. Then like they peek in the window. Kevin sees them but doesn't acknowledge them and pretends like his dad is there. And he's like, Dad, will you help me like fix the Christmas tree? He's a smart kid, yeah. But also, they're smart burglars. So when he says that, they know no one's there other than him. So then he's like, okay, yeah, it's just this kid.
Yeah.
And now at this point, I feel like they're breaking into the house out of spite. It's like a vengeance thing. They don't care about the items in the house because the whole movie. So when they show you them breaking into other people's houses, and they're taking everything. Like they have like sacks like of like valuables and stuff like that, and they're also flooding the houses with water because they call themselves the Wet Bandits, like their trademark thing. Well, it's Marv's trademark thing.
Pieces of shit.
And they're like pretty much just destroying everyone's house and taking everything that they possibly can. When they walk into the McAllister's house, they don't take a thing. It's only to get Kevin. There's no like, because honestly, if you think about it realistically, if they got in the house, they don't have to go after Kevin. No. He could hide away, and they could definitely like get
still
do
house. What they need to do, and then
but they don't do that. That's not what the goal is anymore. The goal is definitely to like get Kevin.
They changed their goal,
so like,
which is like gross.
It is, and it's also like that's the last house that they go for. So like they've already made, a killing on these other houses of the families that are not there. It was probably an easy in and out situation. They just take their time and they leave. So it's like not a big deal. But this is the last house, and they're kind of like relentless with this to the point where like, it just seems like, again, their goals changed. Like they don't know that the valuables are not important anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's like, this kid can't outsmart us. We have to be able to like get this kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that being said too, like, I personally think that like it's impressive that they don't give up like that. I think that it's like one of those, because it makes the movie more interesting. It makes the movie more entertaining. I don't know if someone in that situation would give up or not, honestly. It's hard to say. I guess it would depend on the type of person that they are. I feel like if it was me and I was a burglar, I would give up because I already got a bunch from 4 other houses.
Yeah,
and this is just not worth the trouble. Like, it's just not. I feel like most times in real life, if you, like, let's say you put up enough of a fight per se, a lot of times people are going to leave you alone. Because like, they don't really want confrontation like that.
They go for the easy target. They're robbing these houses when they know they're empty,
there's no one there.
Quote,
yeah,
unquote.
like there's no threat whatsoever. There's no cops on the street. Like there's nothing going on. It's like, it's just easy. So I think that like it's impressive in that sense where they're just like relentlessly trying and trying and trying, but I personally think that it inevitably contributes to their downfall and eventually ends up.
Pride will be your downfall.
Yeah. So that's what I think. But what do you think? Do you think that like they could? Would you give up like that, or would you be stubborn because you're like, this is kind of crazy? You
know me better than most. I would hope to say that I would be like, you know what? Let's count our blessings. Everything is good. We're good. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. But I'm a stubborn motherfucker. I'd be like, this is a fucking kid.
Yeah.
I'm getting this kid. Like, I'm showing him.
Would you kill him if you got him, you think?
Oh, wring his neck till his eyes got
because he's a witness.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's funny. There's a scene, I think it's like from Family Guy, where it like shows 2 bandits kind of going into a house, and this random kid's like, haha, I've booby-trapped the house. There's no way. And they just shoot him dead. And they're like, okay, well, it's like wet over here, so be careful. And it's like in the grand scheme of things, yeah, this is pretty wild. But these are also kind of dumb bandits, like the wet bandits.
Yeah.
Aren't they they're
sticky
petty bandits?
Well, in the second one,
they're sticky bandits,
but they're the wet bandits in the first one. Yeah.
They're petty. They're not like big crime bosses. Like they're just kind of they're taking the easy way, and then they find this like slight resistance, and they're like, we got to get this kid. And of course, pride will be your downfall.
Sure.
They definitely like. I mean, again, if I was in that situation, I'd love to say, oh, no, I would have just left. I have all this other stuff. It's totally fine. Like, path of least resistance. But then I'm a stubborn motherfucker. Like, I'd be pretty bummed about this kid. And I'd be like, all right, I got to show him who's who. Like,
for sure.
I'm messing with this kid. I'm getting him in trouble.
I feel that. That's totally fair. Yeah, and he sets up a lot of traps for them. Like, so it would be, like, quite a bit of trouble.
Dude. So much.
If you're in the house, like if you're trying to get him in the house, eventually he's going to have to come out, though. That's the other thing that I would think about too. But, anyways, there's a lot of really iconic booby traps in this movie, what do you think is your favorite one?
I mean, the one that always sticks in my head, which is just like wild, is the iron on his face when he like gets like the iron imprint.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I would call it quits there. Half of these, it's funny, before, like when we were getting ready for this podcast, I was like looking at a list of all of the like traps that they make. They should not have survived a lot of this stuff. Like, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy that they wouldn't give up after a certain amount of
No.
times, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I always say, if I fall, I'm going home. That is my rule at work. That's my rule at play. If I fall, I'm going home.
Oh my God.
If I'm on a hike and I fall, we gotta get back. God. We're taking the quickest route back.
That's funny.
I am too big to be on the ground by accident.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm either sitting my big ass down, or if I fall, I'm going home. But yeah, even when I wasn't, like, even when I hadn't seen the movie, like, I'd seen clips of, like, dude, just thinking of a fucking iron, a 90s iron hitting me in the face and burning me to the point where it's like, ugh, no way, dude.
It would be gross.
That bums me out. Yeah. Out of all the nonsense they go through, that bums me out the worst.
Yeah, that's an iconic one.
What about you?
Sure. I think I have two. My first one, because I think it's hilarious, the whole scene, honestly, is he has this giant toolbox that he attaches to the attic door. So like when they're he runs up into the attic and this is another thing. His brother has a tarantula that's at large the whole movie.
At large.
And it's a huge tarantula.
Ugh,
and
spiders,
basically, like, that scene is funny to me because, like, he attaches it to the top of the stairs and then attaches that to the door handle. So when they pull the door handle, which, like, there's flaws in that scene, but, like, when they pull that door handle, basically, like, they're like, pull it and then they stop because they're like, realize something happened, and they're like putting their nose up or their ears up against the door, and they're like, what is that noise? And it's the toolbox that's full of just a bunch of tools.
Dad tools.
And it's coming down the stairs, and then it just blasts through the door and, like, just, like, gets them. Well, they fall back, and they're falling back there. And then Marv is laying there, and then he looks up, and there's a tarantula crawling across his face, and he lets out the, like, most feminine, like obnoxious shriek that I've ever heard in my life.
Very me.
And it's so funny to me. And I've always, when I watch that scene, I always just like can't handle it. I just think it's so funny. The other booby trap that I really like, because it's an iconic booby trap that is carried over into the second movie, that is like really dope, and it has like Indiana Jones feels to me too, is that he heats up the door handle of the front door of their house, so when they grab the door handle, it burns him. But their house is dope as hell, so they have an M in the door handle that's for McAllister. So it literally burns it, like basically brands an M into Harry's hand.
He's like, you better recognize where you came
from.
Ugh.
And in the second movie, the first scene where they actually like apprehend him, he reaches out to grab him, and you see the M scar on his hand from his house. Yeah, that's a sick injury.
I never put that together.
Yeah, I like it because of that. Because it's cool. It's a little detail in the second one that they carried over.
Yeah,
and it definitely would stay on there forever.
Oh,
it would be there for the
you're
rest
branded
of your life.
with that? Are you kidding me?
It was red hot, like what he grabbed.
Crazy.
So like it was So I
never realized that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like that one a lot. That one's a sweet one to me. And that one is the most effective. Like I would be like, if that happened to me, I would quit, because that is such a that's like a 3rd degree burn.
I'm super
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so that's like you'd have to go to the hospital, like for sure. Like that would destroy the inside of your hand. So like yeah, dude. So that one is like definitely one of my top ones, just because it's a cool little detail in the second one. And every time I see that one, I'm like, oh my God, dude, that would be the most excruciating thing. Like that would be so bad. So I'd say that.
I mean, as somebody like pretty recently, I was like pouring tea. I was pouring boiling water in a cup, and I like misjudged, and I actually like poured boiling water all over my like finger.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, oh my God, this is bad. I immediately ran it underwater. I put like burn cream on it, but like my entire thumb like shedded.
Yeah.
And like just that, and you're grabbing something to the point where it's branding you, like I could not imagine on the palm too.
Oh yeah,
like I have my palms tattooed, but like I feel like that would be horrible.
Yeah, it's just like a gnarly scene.
I wonder if anyone has like an M branded or like
Probably
scarred
not.
into their palm, like as like a cool thing.
I don't think so.
Ew.
But that
Scarification
reminds me
my
just
palm
of
killed me.
the medallion in Indiana Jones.
Exactly. Like,
That's why I
ugh,
like,
that
yeah, he's
creepy
like,
kid.
yeah.
Ugh. He's
Thought.
not a kid. He's a very
Todd.
old man. He's
That's
gross.
his name, yeah.
Gross.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
in classic 90s fashion, everything ends up being nice. The wet bandits obviously fall for all the booby traps because they're idiots. Also, why do you think they call it booby traps? I want to find out
I
the
don't know
etymology
about
of
that.
that.
I think
That's
that
odd.
might be a like Vietnam reference.
Vietnam veteran, Vietnam reference. I like, for some reason, anytime there's like a weird turn of phrase, I always think it's Shakespearean because he is like in charge of inventing so many words in our language. It's crazy. They fall for all the booby traps. They get caught by the police. Thank God. The family gets back. They end up like, oh my God, Kevin. And like Kevin, obviously being a mischievous person, he kind of keeps everything a little secret. He's like not trying to give away about all the fun adventures he had. And basically the movie just ends up, they're all happy. Kevin and Buzz kind of like make up as best. I don't know what
my
noises
neighbor.
are happening outside.
It's his van.
Excuse me. Kevin and Buzz make up as well as any kind of brothers can. And then Kevin sees Marley. Yeah, Marley, his neighbor. He's got his family over, and like they're all kind of reconciled too. It's very nice. It's a great
so
way.
he obviously
It's-
took his advice. He obviously
yes,
took Kevin's
which is
advice.
like
Swallowed his
good.
pride. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, sometimes you have to. When you're like the leader of a family, you sometimes have to
I
just to
agree.
like get everybody together.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's a heartwarming holiday movie. Everything ends up great in the end, which doesn't always happen in real life, but you want it to happen in your movies sometimes, especially holiday movies,
yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. To kind of wrap everything up and basically, yeah, just wrap everything up. In the situation, did Kevin's parents like do everything they could have done? Did they do the best that they could have done? Was there anything else they could have done to kind of like basically fix this in a better way, in your opinion?
I think his mother did everything that she could. I don't think that anyone else did. I think that everyone else kind of like just sat back and let her do what she was doing, which I think is ridiculous to me. But
that
like,
is kind of wild.
because really, if you think about it, like what ends up happening is when she figures out that she left Kevin there, she starts on her, I will say, journey back home.
Yeah.
Because it's a holiday. They're stuck in another country, and like they live in Chicago, by the way. So like there's no like flight to Chicago. And there's not even a
tough.
flight to anywhere.
Yeah.
Really on the East Coast or Midwest, like that, like you would be like, because I think what she says something like, she's at the airport and she's trying to get back, and she's in Scranton, but she's
That's
like,
so funny.
yeah, but she was like, I've been to, A, B, and C, and then she's like, and where am I now? And the guy that's working at the terminal is like, you're in Scranton. And she's like, yeah, now I'm in Scranton. Like, she's like, I have to get home. And she ends up not even being able to fly. And she literally bribes an old couple that's like has a flight to Chicago. And she literally bribes them. I still remember this. She bribes them with $500, her earrings, her watch, I think, and like it's like all of her like really important belongings.
It doesn't
And then
matter.
like they think about it for a second, but then it just doesn't end up happening. And that's when she meets John Candy, and John Candy is like, we're driving to Milwaukee, like we can drop you off in Chicago.
That's pretty close, yeah.
Right. So like,
especially from Pennsylvania.
so
Chicago's
she
a
took
long
like
way.
5 flights home and still didn't
To get as
home,
close as
and then
possible,
had
yeah.
to take a van like driving to Chicago in the middle of winter with like 6 or 8 strange men that she's never met.
Yeah.
Like, she's the first person to get home. It's not like the family just gets home right away. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so like to me, it's like, I think it's lowbrow that she forgot her kid at home, but I think that she did every possible thing she could to redeem herself
Absolutely.
in this situation. Like, it's done already now. It's over. So there's only like you just have to like work on, and she was the one that also called the police to see if they would check in on him, which
Yeah.
they technically didn't do a shitty job on that too. Because the cop just knocks 2 times and he's like, the home looks fine, nobody's here. Like, he says, tell them to recount their kids. And it's like, okay, dude, cool. So like,
You think the mom?
there's an
just, like,
8-year-old like alone in a house, like,
Yeah.
and it's like that's not a checkup. Like, you didn't.
to serve and
Like,
protect
he didn't even
my
check
ass.
the doorknob. Like, he knocks on the door a few times and, like, that's it. And it's like, okay, cool. Granted, it's 1990, so, like, obviously, like, that's
It's a little
not that
loosey-goosey.
crazy. Yeah, but it's just, like, still one of those things where
It's so funny.
it just seemed like that was pretty ridiculous. But, like I said, like, I think she was the one that, like, you know, pretty much did everything else. And all the younger people, the aunts, the uncles, like, even his dad really, like, just kind of seemed passive about the whole thing. Like, you know, and I remember the uncle, because she feels bad that she left Kevin, and I remember the uncle saying something like, if it makes you feel any better, like, I left my reading glasses at the house, too. And it's like, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're paying for your vacation. Like, maybe you should
literally
like, curl up and die somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? So, like, I think she did. I think she did.
I would agree with that for
But no,
sure.
I don't think they did.
Yeah. Well, like,
You know?
every time I try to think, like, oh, well, I would have sent somebody over to, like, pick him up and take him home. You're on Christmas vacation with your entire family. You might not have any other family in the area. You did have the neighbor check to an extent. Like, the neighbor just scared the shit out of the kid. She tried to get home. You can't really fly him out by himself.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, like, every kind of, like, quick little idea I had of, like, oh, she could have done this. They tried. And like they did everything they could. So I definitely agree with you. It really was like, and I feel like, I mean, my mom would do that for me. My mom would cross heaven and earth to get me whatever she needed to do. Yeah.
My mom wouldn't forget me though. So that's, you know.
Very true. My parents, now that we're all adults, I realize my parents have just the same amount of anxiety that I do. So none of that would ever happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh God. Do you have any like, obviously Paris is pretty fucking cool when you're a kid, but do you have any like family vacations that really stick out to you, either around the holidays or like any kind of family
I don't know if we did
vacations?
holiday ones ever, because we had like family,
here,
you know, family stuff.
Yeah.
But I know like the top two for me, like, is obviously Italy is always a good one
Italy
for sure. We have a lot of family there, so that was cool. But honestly, the other one that always stands out to me, and I was just talking to Nev about how I want to do this again, honestly, as an adult, is the Mammoth Caves in Kentucky. That was a super fun trip. Like, we drove down there, and like you go down in the caves, and there's like druzy, like it's like so weird. Dude, it's crazy, and it's like, you know, of course, it reminds me of The Descent, obviously. But it's like, because it's like so, it's like
No
to
way,
get
dude.
to the part where you got to go.
God,
you know?
that just gave me the
And there's like
shivers.
these, I remember this for some reason too. Well, I know why, because it's traumatic for me as a child. But there's like these bugs. There are certain bugs like in caves. It's like almost like if you were to think about like what kind of like insects and fish live like in the darkest, bottomest of the ocean, they're going to be different types of things, right? Like,
It's
so
its
they're
own
gonna look,
ecosystem, for
yeah,
sure.
so they're going to
Can I
have
just-
to deal with that. So
He made himself a spot.
I know.
I'm so sorry. Carlos is laying down right here. You can see him just the littlest bit. But he like literally elbowed Presence out of the way to lay right next
He
to
wants
you
to hang
over
on
there. I love it.
but yeah, so there were these bugs. I don't remember what they're called,
That's
but
so
they're like, they
vile.
look like little like lobsters. Like they're
Ew.
like little like, yeah, they're like crab bug things. Like, and they were in the caves, and that always freaked me out. But there was a certain time too where we were in the middle of this like larger area in the cave, and the guy's like, you know, he's like talking, and he's like pointing at things, and he's like, you know, this took this amount of time to like make this, and like these have been like undiscovered for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And then he was talking, and then, you know, they have those like mining lights down there.
Yeah.
They're like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like, with
yeah,
the
yeah.
cage on them. And
Uh-huh.
yeah. So he was talking about that, and he's like, okay, so like everybody right now, like find a good spot and like put your hand in front of your face. And they're like, okay, cool. And he's like, there's no like light pollution whatsoever down here when the lights are off, right? So like he's like, it's gonna be the darkest dark that you've ever seen, like ever in your life. And he was right. I mean, like it was to the point where like I remember thinking, and because I think about this is when I think about The Descent.
Of course.
It's so dark it's disorienting.
Yeah.
You have no, it's almost like you don't want to move because you don't know where you should move.
Like you gotta.
You have
stay
no
still at
idea
that
now.
point.
You
Ew,
like, yeah, and it's not like you're familiar with it. Like so, like you're
Exactly.
like, if I move any way, because there's like a good amount of people on like the tour, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how close anyone is to me. I literally cannot see. Like it would be like darker than if I were to shut my eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
So,
shutting my eyes right now, I can see the light.
right, like they're transparent to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, so like yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was like if you were dead. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like that kind of darkness. And they only, it was dark for like 7
Quick,
seconds.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it felt like forever,
Dude.
And I remember, I think I held my Aunt Sue's hand or my mom's. I don't remember, but I was like, ooh, this is gross.
I can't do this.
Yeah, it was gross.
Gross.
But it was humbling. It was like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's like crazy if you think about it, because then it's like, whatever does live down here can survive down here in pure dark,
Yeah.
like real darkness. Like there's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's no, and there never is. It's not like it's like when the sun comes up. It's not like that. You're in a cave. Like you're down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
No,
you're
this is it.
subterranean.
This
Like
is
it's like
it.
yeah. So it's so weird. But I had a blast. And
That's really cool.
And
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's really cool. And I'm sure that there's still tours there. I've not looked obviously into it, but I was talking to Nev about it, and I was like, I really would like to go back as an adult, because I feel like a lot of times you just don't appreciate things the same way.
Definitely.
But I still remember that, and I really liked that trip. It was really fun, and it was really random. I think it was my aunt's idea.
That's
I'm not
cool.
really sure, but it was a really cool trip. What about you?
Well, I already kind of mentioned it when I was... Dude, he's just making his spot for himself. That's okay, Tato. That's your present now. It's a nice, comfy, cozy spot for you. Yeah, bubba. I went to Germany with my immediate family to go visit my aunt and uncle and my 2 cousins that live... England. I visited family in England. They were living in England at the time, and I went and visited them. So we visited them in England, and then we went to... Scotland and Ireland. I think we took a day trip to the other countries and then
Sure.
went back, because everything in Europe is like
Just walk
right
to
next
them.
to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked.
Just walk right to him. Stroll it.
And then a little bit after that, I remember we went, I think it was the spring break of my 5th grade year, so that's 2005. We went to Germany to visit family friends who lived in Germany. And that was cool. That was like a week and a half we were there.
That's
and
cool.
We went, they lived in southern Germany, and we took like a couple-day trip up to northern Germany. That was really, really fun. We saw a
would be
lot
cool.
of castles, which was my shit back
Yeah,
then.
that is cool.
The one castle that everyone is very familiar with, Neuschwanstein, if you like Google it, you'd like definitely, you've seen it before. It's actually the castle that the Disney castle is based off of.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
remember we took a bus up a mountain, because it's on the top of a mountain.
Sure.
Took the bus up. It was our spring break, and there was snow on the top of the mountain, which was like so weird, because we were all in like shorts and t-shirts. And
Of
like, we're
course.
playing in the snow. Stupid American kids.
Yeah.
And then we like took a tour of the castle, and I remember I was pissed because right before, I can't remember if it was a prince. I think it was a prince who lived in that castle.
Oh.
He like kind of went crazy in the end of his life and donated all of his armory away.
Oh,
Like,
that's cool.
It didn't have an armory anymore.
Yeah.
I was pissed. I was like, why the fuck am I here if there's no armory? Like, I was just a little kid.
Yeah, sure.
And then we hiked down the mountain, and I remember we got soft pretzels and sausages. And there was like a little cart
Schnitzels,
randomly.
if you will.
No, schnitzel is something very different.
Schnitzels.
But we did have schnitzel at a. I think that was like my dad's thing. Like every restaurant we go to, would get schnitzel. Of
course.
He's like, it's gonna be delicious.
Of course.
We went to the Hofbrauhaus. We went to a lot of different like very touristy but like super fun German spots. And it was just really, really cool. It was a really fun time. And like everywhere that I went as a kid, again, kind of what you said, I really want to go back and like appreciate it for myself as an adult again.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to Italy. You've made it sound very entertaining.
It was fun.
Funny enough, like when you were in the cave and you couldn't see anything, we were staying with a family in Germany, and we were sleeping in their basement.
Yeah.
And there usually like basements around here, there's like little windows, so there's like
Yeah.
a little bit of light. Dude, not a single light in that basement. There was no electronic lights down there.
Yeah, dude.
I remember laying there and like I could hear my dad snoring, but I could not see my hand in front of my face, and I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I was
It's
terrified,
unsettling.
dude. It was
Yeah, it's
so
unsettling.
bad. There was nothing I could do. I was in 5th grade. I didn't have
Yeah.
a phone. I didn't have a Game Boy. I didn't have anything. There was like
Yeah.
no light I could
You're
create.
just left alone with your thoughts.
Ugh, I must have just tuckered my little self out and gone to sleep. But yeah, those are
You know what?
those are what I remember.
Speaking of castles, I feel like
It would be sweet to see the Dracula castle in Transylvania.
That would be
sweet.
so
I think you
cool.
can stay there now. I think it's an Airbnb.
Christ.
which is super cool.
An Airbnb, or you like book with them?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, castles and stuff. I want to go to the Wallace Monument in Scotland really badly. I saw a TikTok of it and I started crying. So
Really?
I want to see it. I get very. It's not like nostalgic, but I seek culture. I'm an American, so I don't like really have a lot of culture.
Sure.
But like my culture is like Scottish and like technically German, but like I really want to learn more about my like Scottish roots. And like my uncle, he's really into genealogy, and he traced us back to like I think a generation or two away from William Wallace, who is Braveheart. So like that's why I want to go to the Wallace Monument. I want to do all this stuff and like kind of, I don't know, I feel like I want to know more about that. It's a part of my, you know, family's line. So I think it'd be really interesting to do.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
We're running a little bit late here, but kind of one more little question to wrap everything up here. What about this movie makes it so universally iconic? Like Home Alone is such like an instantly recognizable movie. The characters, the actors, the music, the situation itself, it's been not played out, but a lot of people have recreated it. What about this movie makes that so iconic, do you think?
Well, I think that it has. I think those types of movies have been recreated, but not that scenario. That scenario is pretty unique, I would say, in the sense of like they're at the mercy of a child that like is giving them a run for their money, like a real run for their money.
Truly,
it was like the first movie of its kind.
Yeah,
I don't think that there was anything else like that at the time, and every other movie like that is a Home Alone movie.
Yeah, honestly,
so like you know what I'm saying, like so like. I think it's that. I think it also is like a time capsule in a sense of like that time period. It definitely like there's so many cool toys of his that like I had as a kid.
Yeah.
Like there's like so many the fashions, the ideology, like there's so much. The type of house that they have and the way it's decorated. I noticed that when I was watching it the last time is like the house itself reminds me of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about that movie, it's very like specific to that period of time, which is cool, I think. But it's a timeless movie. It'll always be entertaining. It'll always be interesting, funny, entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's wholehearted. It's like there's a lot of good stuff there. So I think that's probably why, but I think mostly because again, like there's not a movie that has that type of dynamic and does it as well as that.
Absolutely.
Ever. So
absolutely.
Like, and
often
now,
imitated, never recreated.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's like if you did have a movie like that and it wasn't a Home Alone movie, you would say it's based
like,
off of
this
that.
is just Home Alone.
It's just inspired by that.
Yeah.
And it's like that means that that's like a good movie to me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think. What about you?
I really agree with that. And I think it kind of like like all the movies that we really picked. I mean, it's the holidays. It's a very nostalgic time. I think everyone can kind of relate to a little bit of this movie.
Sure.
And it's like movies are great time capsules. While they are dated and very specific to a certain time, they can also be timeless in the fact like everyone has an uncle like that.
Right.
Everyone's had a situation where they're like lost or something. Like you really can pull so much from this wholesome kind of slice of Americana, really. Like same with like you're gonna make it look like a head shop in here. Yeah. Probably not. Piece of crap camera. I just think everyone can relate to it no matter what. And again, if it was made now, that wouldn't happen. That kid has a phone. They can track him. Like it's like it's just
yeah, it's just not the same.
Yeah. But I'd think again, like it is classic, like it has been referenced time and time again.
Yeah, dude.
And it's just
like apple pie, dude. It's good with anything.
It's American.
Timeless. It is American.
God bless.
Yeah.
The USA.
US of A.
Well, and with that, I think that wraps up season 2 of The Dish with Chase and Ben. It wraps up our holiday
series.
Yeah. Any New Year's resolutions for you, Chase?
I don't like to do that. I would say that I do have some New Year's goals. Those goals would be I do want to learn the piano again. So I would like to try to do that this year if I can.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. There was another thing I talked to you about the other day, and I don't remember what it was, honestly.
Must not be that important.
I was going to say, it must not really be that big of a deal for me. But mostly something like that, I would say, is like just get if anything, I would say, even if it's not a piano, just pick up a different hobby.
That'd be cool.
And my other goal was that I wanted to read 100 books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so I'm going to try.
Goal.
Even if I don't make it, I'm just curious to see what I can do.
See how close you can get. Yeah.
So I've read 55 books so far.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. You should be very, very proud of yourself for that.
Good.
That's crazy.
It's the most I've ever read. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've read some really great fucking books.
I really have, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's just more of the same. like a lot of stuff that I kind of started this year, I want to keep it going, get a little more serious with it, fitness wise, self-help wise, mentally wise. I'm turning 30 this year, so it's going to be, I mean, for someone who didn't expect to turn 18, it's going to be kind of weird turning 30. So it's just like, just really,
It'll be good.
it's going to be a weird year.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to do my best to keep it positive. I'm going to read the Bible this year again, the entire Bible.
Wow.
I do that. I didn't do it last year because I was off a day and my broken brain wouldn't let me be off a day for the entire year. So I'm starting it this year, January 1st, today, and I'm going to read the entire Bible in a year, which I'm really excited about. And I'm just going to basically just try to be the best me I can be, you know?
Yeah, that'll be good.
I'm very into New Year, New Me. So it has helped me become vegan. It has helped me do a lot of things in my life. So I'm going to see what else it can get me this year.
Definitely. I feel that.
Well,
yeah.
But yeah,
Thank you for listening.
thank you so much.
Hope you guys have a good New Year's and you had a good Christmas. You got
Absolutely.
everything that you wanted from Santa.
Santa Claus brought you everything. As we usually do, it's the end of the season, so we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're still going to be as active as we can on our socials. If you guys have any specific movies you want us to be watching, please, oh please, shoot us a message and let us know. We're always down to accept any kind of suggestions or invites to movies that we may or may not have seen. If you want to hear us talk about a classic or a brand new movie that you've watched and you feel like no one else has, let us know.
Definitely.
And again, we've been having a lot of fun with the audio submissions. We're kind of saving them up a little bit right now. We might do a little special episode with those. So keep sending those. It's really easy on our Instagram, The Dish with Chase and Ben, all one word. Just let us know. You have any questions? You want our opinions on anything? But other than that, keep your eyes peeled on our social medias. We'll be announcing when we're starting the new season. And with that, I think that was really, really fun. Really great season. Really cool movies that we talked about.
Yeah.
Already, have plans for a couple of movies that we're going to be covering here in the near future. Any last final words, Chadwick?
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Thanks for helping us pick all these movies. And I'm really excited for the movies coming up.
And the continued support.
Absolutely. It's a blast.
It is fun.
Golly, we've been doing this for almost a year now.
I know. We're experts now.
Easy. Done. Boom.
Am I already awesome at this? That's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's Chad Suarez
It's
here,
Chris
baby.
Angel Suarez. Yeah.
Imagine if your middle name was Angel. Gross. All right. 3, 2, 1, morning, night, noon, whatever it is.
Bye.
Shake my hand. Bye, 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 bye.